We have a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to review. Why don't we start with whatever you saw on Raw and get that out of the way?
Oh boy, let me dig deep in my notepad here because there have been so many programs that we've tried to pay attention to over the past several days. This was Raw from March the 4th, and it broke all of the patterns, all of the norms, all of the pattern that this show has been in, and that there was only one big major speech. I tuned in to see Raw for the speeches, and they gave us a bunch of wrestling matches. So there's no need to talk about those. But the big speech, the one that really furthers along our path to the next big speech on Friday, which everybody's waiting for, was the one with Cody Rhodes and Seth Franklin Rollins. And they were in San Antonio. How many people did they have? Can you Google this information, or is this at your fingertips? How many people did they have in San Antonio, fucking Texas? Are you speaking to me?
I am not. I was looking up the information you requested. Give me a moment.
Well, you could say like they do at the cash register at the Wendy's. Just a moment, sir, or something like that.
I'm not listening to your etiquette thoughts about the cash register anywhere. What arena was this?
Well, I don't know, because it wasn't the Joe and Harry Freeman Coliseum. That's where we used to have our shining moments in San Antonio. It's a big new fucking building. This shit looked like Madison Square Garden from the outside.
Here it is, WrestleTix. Final count for Monday Night Raw, the Frost Bank Center.
Frost Bank Center. This looked as big as San Antonio was last time I was down there.
Tickets distributed 13,748.
Jesus Christ.
It is the 5th consecutive TV sellout for WWE.
The fuck?
And the announced attendance was 14,866. The last time they were there for SmackDown in October was 14,149. They turned San Antonio into a hot market.
I was about to say, Jesus, when I lived in Dallas, we went down there once a month. San Antonio wasn't drawing shit. I got to be quite honest with you. That is not the scene of any of our greatest triumphs. We couldn't buy a house in that fucking town. And they made the crowd shots they did have looked like it was a goddamn stadium show. And here's the thing, just again, San Antonio, my hat's off to you. That the fucking building, the entranceway still cut off thousands of seats. How big are the goddamn buildings down in San Antonio these days? It's overpopulation is what it is, Brian. There's too many fucking people.
AEW just announced they're running the Junction. Should be a hot show.
Special guest ring announcer Steve Stack.
That's right.
Boy, for 14 people, and probably 8 of them are in San Antonio, that was fucking hilarious. All righty. So they did a recap of SmackDown right at the top of the program with what's going on with the Bloodline and the Rock and the Cody and the Seth and the blah, blah, blah. And then Cody comes out and, again, this fucking crowd, it was like somebody paid them to fucking, hey, just jump up and down and cheer some motherfucker. They loved it. They loved Cody. They were insane. Well, you know why? Because son of a plumber from Austin, Texas. He's the grandson of a plumber from Austin, Texas. And the plumbing business is big down in Austin, Texas. So Cody does the promo, and again, I see a slim, well-dressed, articulate Dusty. If I close my eyes, I hear the cadence of things, the way Dusty would say shit, just with bigger words. It's amazing. And
bigger words that at times sound unnaturally stuffed into his phrasing.
But here's the thing. If you analyzed all of Dusty's promos like that, some of them might be stuffed in there too, but he said them so cool and
he had a flow. That's right.
He had a flow.
It sounded natural, even if it was ridiculous.
But he covered The Rock's, Instagram video and 20 minutes on SmackDown and all they calling the fans meth heads and you talked about my dog, Rock. Don't ever talk about my dog. And I can sympathize with a statement like that. And basically, Cody said, you didn't accept my one-on-one challenge. You changed it to a tag team match, like, the master politician you are. And finally, this is what I liked about this segment, besides the fact that people were so hot and it moved things along. And I didn't like everything about the segment now. Hold on, we'll get there. But he finally gave the best explanation, and it's because it's simple and it worked, but it covered it. Now, and probably he just may have just got the chance to do it because I can tell he wanted to. The explanation for this fucking switcheroony that we got put on us. He had talked to The Rock trying to get advice. And he didn't say this all outright, but you see where I'm going with it, Brian, because you heard this. He had talked to The Rock to get advice, because why wouldn't you talk to The Rock to get advice about the bloodline, right? And The Rock tell you, oh, people don't want to see you versus Roman. They want to see me versus Roman. That's what'd be the best for everybody. And Cody kind of sheepishly looking, but not admitting it verbally. So I fell for that. That's the kind of explanation that people could fucking actually believe, right? Or am I reading too much into this?
It was the first explanation that's made any sense that we've been given several weeks after the fact. I don't even know if an explanation was really needed anymore. They kind of just moved past that point.
I still think
with it.
I still think it was because it brings it around, and you can point to that from now on. I think Cody getting the opportunity to close up a loophole that may have bothered him. But anyway, that's the thing is, and then you fans, you chanted something else, and they chant, "We want Cody." That was perfect to not only explain it, but get into it. As soon as he says, you folks, you chant, we heard your chants, you wanted something else. And then it's we want Cody. And he's admitted that he got conned a little bit, but he's moved on now. And then he goes, we all heard that. The Rock heard that. That's why he's jealous, right? So now he's come back with this challenge that also involves my good friend, Seth Franklin Rollins. And here comes Seth. And boy, he was boogieing and woogieing, and good Lord. The less that Seth talks sometimes in this, I think the better off he is. Cody makes the pitch to him. You've offered to help before. You've offered to help me, but hey, you got a big thing that going on with Drew. If you want to focus on that, because it's also a big deal that The Rock and Roman are together. If you aren't on board with me, then I understand, right? And Seth again says, well, I said some things are bigger than us, and taking down the bloodline is the biggest thing that we can do. And then, just, God damn it. And maybe because it's cute, and maybe because anything works with The Rock or whatever, and the nickname, okay, but this was silliness where there didn't need to be silliness. He took the top angle, and he was flippant and silly, mocking The Rock and his promos. And I don't think it was getting over with the room, and I don't think it was getting over with the goddamn TV audience.
He did everything that The Rock was doing wrong. He was lame. It was a lame nickname. How anyone thought that nickname would work in the room, there's no way they could have. It was just bad. It was lame. And like you said, it was not what this needed.
Well, and the nickname wasn't even the worst part of it, because the worst part of it was after that he kept going on, and that's when they quieted down, really, because they like chanting diarrhea, because that's what he did, folks. He goes into this spiel where he's over The Rock, and he says, I'm going to come up with a nickname for him. And then he fake thinks for a long time. And how about Diarrhea Dwayne? The thing is, if he'd have just said, I'm going to come up with a nickname for him, what about Diarrhea Dwayne? Well, then if it sucked as bad as that sucks, it wouldn't have sucked as bad because it looked like he took 30 seconds to think about that. And then it was a letdown. And of course, the people want to chant diarrhea, diarrhea. And that gives him the opportunity to tell Rock that he sounds like wet baby poop. That's a quote, wet baby poop. But then he gets the flippant and the silly, mocking the Rock and the promos. And he just went again down the wrong path. Not only the people weren't interested, but he's taken the big main event that he thinks is bigger than all of us too lightly. That's like one of the Christians saying, Jesus is coming back. Well, okay, But then he got a big pop because he said he was medically cleared. And that's wonderful. So they're not going to boo that. But he will be at SmackDown Friday to confront the Bloodline. And then, thankfully, Cody got back on the subject of The Rock again and ended a little bit stronger with he's coming to SmackDown with Seth to see the Bloodline and tell The Rock off and answer this challenge. So we were 23 minutes into Raw by that point. I think you could have deductified a couple or three off of Seth in the middle there, and we still could have got the same points out.
And I guess you could kind of bet on at least 30 minutes of SmackDown worth watching now.
Yeah. Hopefully
with entrances.
Well, yes, with entrances. Hopefully the first 30. So that way maybe I could watch it live and just go to sleep. But otherwise, that was Raw. They had a lot of matches. We're going to talk about a couple of a thing that was announced and a couple of things that happened, but there was just those pesky wrestling matches a lot of the rest of the show, and there weren't any more good speeches.
Well, no one loves zooming past Raw more than I do, but there was one match that we did hear from some listeners they wanted to hear your thoughts on because it became a weird bone of a contention on Twitter the night of Raw. I don't know how else to phrase it. What do you call it?
A boner of contention.
A non-argument started, and everyone saw. But Gunther versus Dominic Mysterio.
Yes, that match did happen. No, Gunther was walloping the piss out of Dominic, but not in an unprofessional way. We're not saying that. And I watched it, and it was, again, Gunther is of tremendous talent and works exactly as he should. And Dominic is really getting the hang of the bumping chicken shit heel, and he knows how he gets his heat. And this was a heel versus heel match, and it was with the big badass, fucking foreign menace Gunther against the little Weasley goddamn smart mouth heel. So people are naturally want to see Dominic get his shit kicked. And they had a nice match, but the most innocuous of spots that they did right at the opening of the match was apparently send Uncle Dave Meltzer over the goddamn edge of the cliff, like the lemmings falling into the sea, and he started arguing with people and or knocking the wrestling business itself in order to justify, I'm not sure what. I don't know. I came in on it in the middle. Do you have the tweetage that led up to where I saw this statement he made?
I think so, and I'm just kind of getting caught up to this stuff too. But
because Dave is basically, while you're finding that, Dave is basically, going off and arguing with people that it's either real people or sometimes even people with 4 followers that you think, could this even be a real person? There's no picture. He's fucking arguing with them, right? Or if they agree with him, then will make outlandish statements in furtherance of whatever they agreed with him that don't have anything to do with whatever the fuck they agreed with him about. And those people have 4 or 5 followers also. How does this man have the time of day?
Well, this is neither of those cases. And again, maybe less time on Twitter, more time correcting things in the Observer. And then you don't get people talking about you reporting that Shibata had his brain removed. But John LaRocca And it says here on his Twitter profile, Booker for APW 2008 to 2012, 2016 to 2019, and president of Premier Wrestling, former pro wrestling manager 2005 to 2008, and a podcaster on the Fight Game podcast, WONF4W. So that's the Observer site. So this is someone apparently podcasting on the Observer site.
So
from the Bay Area, involved with the wrestling business.
On Dave's team, right? Then.
Well, he tweeted out, Gunther versus Dominic Mysterio was such a fun match. Gunther is the best in the world, but Dominic's performance was so great in this match. Hashtag WWE Raw. Do you have a problem with any of that?
No, I think I just kind of said that. And also, he phrased it maybe briefer than I did. But that is not only, I think, an accurate take, but I can't imagine why it's inflammatory to anybody.
Well, Dave Meltzer retweeted that and quote tweeted it and wrote, I enjoyed it. Also, just remember now that any match where a guy chops the post full bore and gets his hand run into the same post, it can be ignored the rest of the match as the guy chops with the same hand over and over as his key move the rest of the match. So we could stop there before anything else. It's a very interesting, I really like this match. Yeah, it was great. However, dummy, here's what I think. Like, there's a weird condescension and there's a weird attitude that comes into everything Dave writes to people. And that's one of the debates people have. Does he understand? Is he tone deaf? And does he have no self-awareness? And does he just not understand how he comes across? Or is he intentionally trying to be a condescending dick to people?
Well, and see, this is his own guy. On his own team, you can see how he talks to his friends. No wonder he has so fewer of them now. But first of all, there was a spot right at the start, bing, 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 where Gunther goes to fucking chop Dom and he moves out of the way and Gunther chops we'll talk about the post in a second, but we'll call it post, chops the post. And then Dominic grabs his arm and slams his hand into it again. So he's selling. So Dominic's on him. But then later on when Gunther comes back, he's fucking chopping. And so I saw some people on Twitter saying, well, if you punch a ring post, which think about this, these big metal ring posts, if you punch a ring post with your fist, then yes, one good one, you should break all your knuckles or your fingers or whatever the fuck. You're not going to be using that hand again. But if you chop the thing, people know it's a goddamn open-handed, either overhand slap or underhand slap to a fucking chest. So you're using the meaty part of your hand, of which Gunther's look like catcher's mitts, to chop the post. But I will agree that if you chopped a metal ring post, you probably still shouldn't use that hand or should sell it for most of the match, except has anybody, including Uncle Dave, looked at the goddamn ring posts on the rings in the WWE on television these days? They've covered up the metal ring posts because they had people, I guess, getting busted open, or it's part of their safety fucking protocol, as well as having the padded guardrail around the ring now instead of the old bicycle rails like they had 30 years ago. They've put a box. Go and look. Get a still frame of any of these TVs. The ring posts are all not square, but how many? 6 sides? What is it? Hexagonal?
Maybe.
Well, thank you.
I don't know.
Graduate of major university.
I went to Nassau Community College.
All right, well, then you can't know more than 3 sides. So, but it's a fucking box, and the turnbuckles go through the holes. I think it's wood. Maybe, is it aluminum? I don't know, because they paint them to blend in with that ring post apparatus, but you can tell when they hit them, they make a much louder noise than if you're hitting a ring post, and they do that because they're fucking hollow around the ring post. So the point is, would it be overselling it if you fucking got run into the goddamn... Yes, if your head gets run into the thing, you need to go down. But if your hand gets run into a fucking wooden box or aluminum box that's over the top of a post and rattling around, We're picking at nits. This is the fucking champion, Uncle Dave Meltzer, the world PR champion and advocate
of no selling
and provocateur of the match, where the guy just dove off the top of a ladder and took a flat back bump through 6 chairs and a pane of glass to a concrete floor and came back for the finish. And he's talking about, well, he slapped the fucking post and he didn't fucking sell it. What the fuck?
He has given 5 stars to AEW matches or Young Bucks matches where they don't sell anything and they keep going. But the one example he wants to point out is Gunther chopping the post. This continued. Yes, well, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying that, and again, I complain about a lot of things, but that's so far down. If you're going to complain about people not selling something, how much farther down on the list could you get than complaining if people got up after a body slam? That's what I'm saying. He's got something going on. Maybe the chemists at Pfizer might be able to fucking assist in figuring out why he fixates on these things to the point of obsession. But go ahead.
Well, Pfizer's right down the road. Maybe we can get some answers. But John LaRocca replied, I get what you're saying, but it was an open palm to the post. Gunther has a catcher's mitt for hands, so I can believe he would recover quickly after the initial sting wore off. When they come back, Gunther is PO'd, switched gears, and dominating. Very believable. Any problem with that?
No.
Well, here's what Dave said. Don't worry. The wrestling Roy Shire promoted had it impossible to hurt any Samoan or African American in the head. In fact, a chair or post shot to the head would not only be no-sold, but be the start of a headbutt after headbutt comeback. So whenever people talk about realism and selling in old school wrestling, I usually laugh at their ignorance, since it was and has always been cartoonish. Before you say anything, real quick, John LaRocca's quick response, and there's more. I didn't say anything about old school versus modern wrestling, but just saying it's very logical that Gunther could recover from chopping the post and still be able to use it in the match. So, a very puzzling response from Dave.
Dave has gone, again, boy, that escalated quickly. Dave, to his own guy, has gone to, I usually laugh at their ignorance. What the fuck? And that's when I got, because that's the statement, the stupid statement from Dave that I saw. It's always been silly in cartoon. Now he's taken up for him to the extent that everything in the wrestling business, even the best territories in the country, have always been stupid in cartoon. So I've had enough of his fucking lip. I've had enough of his fucking yap. I've had enough of his goddamn droning on about, oh, it's always been that way. You're just ignorant. All of you are ignorant. It's so ignorant. And I usually laugh at your ignorance. You're fucking demented, Dave. You got Alzheimer's or a goddamn chemical imbalance or some fucking thing bouncing around in your brain. You got way too much time to think about it because most people don't want to fucking deal with you anymore. So I tweeted back at him and apparently trended over it. Now, like, I give a shit. I was rubbing Harley's belly. Would you like to read my tweet?
Dave? Why have you become such an insufferable douchebag and begun making fun of the only thing anyone besides your immediate family knows you for and has earned you every penny you have? P.S. Hit fucking Barbarian or Ming over the head with a chair. See how that works out for you.
Oh my God, because now when he's a kid, he thinks back, well, Peter Maivia headbutting those people is equivalent to fucking my favorite young dipshits diving off ladders and cartwheeling through flaming fucking interstate wrecks on the way to goddamn barbed wire fucking death pits. And then coming back for the third segment. You fucking moron. I'm sick of his goddamn whining and his fucking trying to justify everything that the cool kids over there that he likes does just because his dwindling readership, listenership, or fucking membership eats that up like fucking pablum from his increasingly encrusted lips. he makes fun of wrestling now. And that's something that you couldn't ever say that he was doing for me. He would make fun of individual wrestlers, generally the ones that did stupid shit. But he wouldn't make fun of the wrestling business. Now he's being forced at his advanced age, when he should be resting on his laurels of when people actually thought that he knew something. He's got to fucking get on his knees and blow a billionaire's brainchild. The problem is the brainchild is filled with juvenile delinquents that don't have any respect for the business to begin with and don't know how to execute it properly. But he's stuck with trying to make people think that they're the greatest thing since the goddamn invention of the fucking wheel.
It's strange. It's weird. A lot of people think he's trying to hold on by attaching himself to it and, dyeing his hair and just, hey, you cool kids. But I will say, especially the last week and a half, whatever it is, I personally heard from people who are friends with Dave, longtime friends, decades-long friends with Dave, who have had problems with his reporting. Just how could this happen? It's ridiculous. Also, I don't know if you even know any of this, but apparently his bio to Ole Anderson pissed off a bunch of people. And I didn't finish reading The Observer. I've had a busy several days. Apparently he also did an audio show. I have not heard that. But Dave, even in death, has put down Ole Anderson. Not that Ole would have cared or anyone should feel too bad, but it's weird when you get your receipts now when the person passes away, I guess.
Well, it stung him that Ole took the piss out of him a long time ago. And I guess, this was an opportunity. But yeah, he usually in an obituary, he will acknowledge all points, but he'll come out with a more positive outlook. But this was the worst I've seen anybody try to diminish somebody right when they're writing their obituary. As well, but
it pays to talk to Jim Barnett.
And by the way,
seriously,
one more time, even if what was being discussed was germane in any way to what Dave started then droning on about, the tropes of the headbutts of the Samoans and the black wrestlers and the blah, 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 which had nothing to do with chopping a fucking post last Tuesday or whatever. Yet there is infinite, I watched it. There is infinitely more believability in Bobo Brazil grabbing a motherfucker at 6'5", I believe it was, maybe 6'6", and 300 pounds, and fucking bashing him with a fucking headbutt, and him going down, or goddamn Peter Maivia, or as I mentioned, hit fucking Ming or Barbarian over the head with a fucking chair, and see how that works for you. Because I'm sorry, it's not a goddamn secret that most of the Samoans in wrestling, I haven't perused the general population of the streets in Samoa, but most of the Samoans in wrestling have heads that you don't want to fuck with. So that's how it became a thing. And that's more believable than these junior high school students doing these gymnastic stunts on furniture and thumbtacks. It's ridiculous. So even following his line of thinking, how is one more preposterous than the other? And why was it silly when people believed it because it was presented in a serious fashion and it sold tickets? Among them to young Dave Meltzer.
By the way, to conclude this segment, John Waraka, I have one last tweet here. So you don't buy that Gunther can recover from chopping the ring post and having his hand worked on by a Weasley heel, but you can buy that Kenny Omega can get stabbed in the head with a screwdriver by Will Ospreay and recover to wrestle 8 to 10 more minutes and win for a 6-star match. He got stabbed with a screwdriver. That was okay. Gunther chopped the post. Got compared to wrestling from 50 years ago.
Oh, God.
Well, Jim, maybe Dave just needs a good night's sleep.
I'm not sure, Brian. I don't know if Dave is one of these people who might be in a standing coma and can't really wake up. But folks, if you're out there in the real world dealing with reality, you need a good night's sleep to recharge yourself and rest yourself for the burdensome day ahead as we exist on this spinning blue marble, hurtling through space, through the atmosphere. You know what you want to lay down at night on and forget about all of that? Forget about the fact that we're someday going to crash into a comet or a meteor and the whole thing's going to go kaput like the dinosaurs. Forget about all that. Lay down, rest your weary bones, and get a night of restful, peaceful sleep, slumber on a Helix sleep mattress. That's the thing you got to do. Because, I mean,
that is the thing you have to do, yes.
No matter what your worry, no matter what is dwelling on your mind, when you lay down, it's like a heaviness on you, and you look up and you go, "Hi, heaviness, you're with me again." But if you lay down on something comfortable like a Helix sleep mattress, you don't have that thought. Instantly, your thoughts leave you. It's like you've been shot up with some exotic drug made from a tsetse fly's blood, and you just drift off into a cloud on a Helix sleep mattress, and they got all kinds. We've talked about the different makes and models, the various things that they do for you. If you sleep hot, they cool you down. You know, Stace got one of those. Said, we got to try this. And I sat down on this thing. I said, whoo, it just cools you. No more are you going to wake up in a puddle of sweat looking like David Jansen in The Fugitive. No, because this thing naturally cools you right down. And they've also, I think they have a heat up. I'm not sure about this, but I think they've got one. If you plug it in, if you get cold at night, like if you got poor blood circulation, plug this bad boy in. It's like a griddle. You'll feel like a pancake. It slightly burns your buns, but nevertheless, you'll wake up in the morning all ready to go out and look like you have a pulse. And they've got 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe Collection, the newly released Helix Elite Collection, and, of course, that mattress for all of you unnaturally long or ridiculously corpulently fat sleepers. And
the Helix Elite Collection is good for people who don't want to sell.
That's true. But at the same time, the people that deliver the mattress will have to super kick you for you to accept delivery of the Elite Collection. And if your spine, listen to this, if your spine is a problem, every Helix mattress, Brian, I don't know if you knew this, has a hybrid design. They combine individually wrapped steel coils in the base with premium foam layers on top. So you got comfort and support. With the steel coils, there is the risk of electrocution during thunderstorms. So as soon as you hear a rumble of thunder, get the fuck away from this thing. But once that the weather has passed, you can lay back down without being jolted like you're sitting in Old Sparky at San Quentin. All you got to do, folks, is go right now to Helix Sleep, Helix, helixsleep.com/JCE, and you're going to use the code HelixPartner20, because when you take the little 2 or 3 minute quiz, tell them how you like your mattresses, how you like to sleep, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. I believe they also have a mattress for premature ejaculators. That may still be in development.
They don't. No, they don't, and they won't, and it won't be in development, no.
But, well, it's they can't reveal these things to the general public. There's industrial espionage. But no, anyway.
Industrial espionage over this, really?
Yeah, and if you're a Darby Allin fan, they have a mattress filled entirely with broken shards of glass.
Well, nonetheless, they don't have that either. What they have are the most comfortable mattresses. Maybe you need something firm. Maybe you need something a little mushy. Whatever it may be, Helix has it. What's that from?
That's their pudding collection.
The pudding collection.
The pudding collection is nice. You'll just feel like you're sleeping in Jell-O. But right now, if you go to helixsleep.com/JCE, use the code HelixPartner20, you're going to get 20% off all of the mattress orders and 2 free pillows. That's, I mean, how in the world are you going to beat that offer? helixsleep.com/JCE. Use the code HelixPartner20, 20% off all mattresses and 2 free pillows. And again, no matter what you want to lay down on, just again, if you're an AEW fan and you want one wrapped in barbed wire, they might be able to do that in the Elite Collection. But you're going to get 20% off regardless of who you're a fan of, as long as you're a fan of ours. As long as you know who we are, that's all that matters. And get one of those kids' mattresses, too, for the dog.
Get all the mattresses you and your family would need from Helix Sleep. One more time, what's that promo code, Jim?
Well, it is, the promo code is HelixPartner20, Brian. I've mentioned that numerous times.